Hello everybody, so welcome to another video. We are doing an impromptu one today on this extremely cool example of port furniture from the port of Nantes, circa 1750. We're clearly at my art shipper where this piece is probably about to be put in a crate, both tiers of it. It's a two-tiered presentation cabinet. And this one, I have mentioned it in several other videos because I have photos of it published in various books which seek to convey that port furniture is a very special and excellent type of furniture from the past. And lo and behold, sometimes what you focus on ends up arriving in your life. I ended up with the piece after looking at it so many times in the books. I now have it. And so it might be on its way to Mississippi, of all places. But I wanted to share it with you because I love port furniture. It's part of a series on this special type of furniture made from the 17th to the early 19th centuries in key ports. It's known for being in these exotic hardwoods such as mahogany here, which would naturally arrive into Europe via the ports. Back then they didn't even really call it mahogany or acajou in French. They just called it bois des îles, island wood, which would of course refer to tons of different species of tropical woods. Generally though, it's mahogany. And today these pieces are remembered for their aesthetic excellence, which partially comes from the mahogany, which takes so well to sculpture, which traverses time well also because it can't be eaten by insects. But finally, these pieces are remembered for the excellence of their aesthetic, which comes simply from the fact that the makers were quite a bit more sophisticated than their inland counterparts, because people that lived in ports, well, you know, they had access to new ideas, they had access to all sorts of furniture designs coming from around the world, and then finally the clientele for something like this was probably very, very wealthy. So the clients had the means to commission very special, very memorable pieces. So all of that culminates in port furniture having really nothing to do with country furniture, rustic furniture, or even nice varieties of regional furniture. It's very, very, very special. Anyway, this one is an emblematic example of a specific French port, and it's particularly complete because we see that it retains its original shelves. That's kind of a rare thing to find because shelves tend to warp. And for the longest time, I wondered which way they were supposed to go, and I believe they're supposed to go such that these channels are facing up, because those must be to facilitate displaying plates. So you could, you know, have this full of your plates and show off to your friends how nice your plates are, you know. And then another thing that we might mention is that this one appears to retain its original keys. I am not sure. That's definitely an old key, and I'm thrilled that it still has it. The locking mechanism is definitely a little bit more rustic than some of the pieces I have seen, because keep in mind this is a piece from the city of Nantes, which is not Bordeaux. Bordeaux was known for perhaps larger and even finer port pieces, especially ones that had a whole art of ferronnerie, a whole art of metalwork going on inside. We clearly don't have that to the same degree on this piece from the important but nevertheless more humble port of Nantes. But still, it's cool to see these original mechanisms. And once we close these, of course, we're going to pan over some of this beautiful Rococo sculpture, as well as the line here, which is sort of one of those old wives' tales about figuring out if a piece is 18th century or not. They say that that's a sign of period authenticity to see the second line that comes here. Obviously, it would have been cheaper and simpler to make this panel with one line rather than to go ahead and sculpt another one. But anyway, moving on, the metal hardware on port pieces is known to be brass, and that is because apparently this alloy resists the salt in the seaside air more than, say, steel. Now, when we come down below, we're going to see that it's really just a storage compartment. In case you wondered, these doors just lift straight off. Well, they do, but we're not going to mess with it right now. But they do lift straight off. And the functional wood here has been stained to match the mahogany of the rest of the piece, which is kind of nice. But down here, this is clearly a storage compartment, where up there was a presentation aspect of the beautiful decorative shelves, and you know, there's an idea of leaving this piece open to show off what's inside, as nice as it is closed. And we might as well come around here and just take a look at the back. It's always fun to do that on these period pieces. Now, I'm not sure if the back of this piece is in mahogany. Certainly a chance that these panels are mahogany. that they feel and sound a little bit lighter. In any case, they're much drier, they haven't been polished, and the point of taking a look at the back of a period piece like this is, in this overall discussion of pre-industrial furniture, one of the quick ways to just at a glance determine if you're looking at a pre-industrial piece or not is to see if the back looks rough. Obviously there's pre-industrial joinery techniques going on here, like apparent doweling. It's not glued together, it's joined and then doweled. But then also we see the undulations of a sculptor's tool here, because back in these days when finishing pieces and making the pieces flat and polished and beautiful was so time consuming, because everything had to be done by hand, obviously they would leave the backs, the unseen and functional parts of the piece, sometimes jarringly rough compared to the elegance and the luxury of the rest of the piece. So I think that's maybe about all she wrote, but like I said, it was just such an interesting coincidence to find this benchmark publication example of Nantes furniture in real life after I have been using it for a number of years as a reference point, you know, for different pieces I was finding and selling. And so I thought it really would have been unacceptable to let this piece pass through my hands without making a video, without sharing it with you, because this is one of the rare pieces where between getting it and selling it, I only had about a week, and it's here at the Art Shipper now. So with all that said, I thank you all for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, if it's helped your understanding of antiques, furniture from the past, and you'd like to support the endeavor of continuing to preserve pieces like this online, please subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.